Every season heading into the NBA trade deadline, there are rumors about which star players will shift teams. Everyone gets all revved up, waiting to see if their team will add superstars like Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant in order to build a super team capable of winning a championship. But the truth is, contending teams usually don't end up targeting these types of players, and when they do, it rarely works out immediately. That's because they have to give up valuable assets in order to attain them, which often opens up more holes in the roster than it fills. On top of that, it leaves a short window of time for teams to rebuild their system around their new star and gain the chemistry necessary to compete come playoff time. That's why last season, the teams that went all in on superstars sputtered out down the stretch. The Mavericks put together a massive package for Kyrie Irving and ended up falling out of playoff contention altogether. And the Suns traded away a couple of valuable starters in exchange for Kevin Durant, only to get ousted in the early rounds of the playoffs. Instead, savvy general managers target niche role players that fill holes and provide upgrades that complement the team's stars, but don't force them to change their systems entirely. For example, the Lakers added role players like Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, and Jared Vanderbilt, who all proved to be valuable additions that helped Los Angeles make a run all the way to the conference finals. Meanwhile, the Heat signed Kevin Love after he got bought out by the Cavs, and his skill set proved to be a perfect fit in a front court alongside Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. This year, there are a number of role players destined to get traded that teams in contention will be pushing hard for come trade deadline, and in this video, we're going to go through 11 role players that every team wants right now. Kelly Olynyk. First up is Utah Jazz center Kelly Olynyk. Olynyk might not be the most exciting name available. He's been in the league for a while and is 32 years old. On top of that, he's not particularly mobile by NBA standards. But Olynyk's quietly been having an outstanding season in Utah, making him one of the most valuable role players in the entire league. For one, his three-point shooting has been off the charts. Olynyk is currently shooting 43% from three, making him one of the most accurate shooters in the entire league. On top of that, he's developed into one of the best passing bigs in the game as well. This season, Olynyk has averaged over 7.5 assists per 36 minutes. These numbers are outrageously impressive for a player close to 7 feet tall. Some fans look at his mobility and assume that Olynyk is a liability on defense, but that's not the case either. Though he's never been elite, he remains an adequate rebounder. And despite his limitations guarding the perimeter, Olynyk is very crafty in the interior and uses his quick hands to steal the ball on a consistent basis. Olynyk has been a major part of the Jazz surge down the stretch, but with an expiring contract, he's likely up for the taking to a contender looking for a veteran big man that can stretch the floor. Expect him to draw interest from both Oklahoma City and the Sacramento Kings. Kyle Lowry. Another veteran that'll become available is recently traded point guard Kyle Lowry. Lowry's almost 38 years old, but he'll still be valuable to teams that are in need of a two-way backup point guard. Lowry has championship experience and was a key component of Miami's run last season as well. He can still make plays and shoot threes on offense while also bringing toughness and leadership on both ends of the floor. The thing about Lowry is his contract will deter teams from trading him. So it's more likely that the Hornets buy out his contract, which would allow him to sign as a free agent with the team of his choice. If he does get bought out, he could be signed by cap-strapped teams that don't have very many tradable assets, in which case the Lakers, Bucks, Suns, Knicks, and hometown 76ers could all potentially make a bid. Gordon Hayward. Speaking of buyout candidates, Gordon Hayward of the Hornets also is playing on a contract that the Hornets could buy out before the deadline, which in turn would make him a free agent. Hayward is no longer a star player, but he could provide a team with stability on the wing that they need going into the playoffs. He can do some of everything on the floor. He can shoot threes, create shots for himself, and find his teammates for buckets as well. Hayward could prove to be this year's Kevin Love, and he might draw interest from the Lakers, Heat, Cavs, and the Kings. Dennis Schroeder. Another point guard that's available for trade is Dennis Schroeder of the Toronto Raptors. Schroeder has proven throughout his career to be a speedy and feisty backup point guard that can bring energy and leadership off the bench. He proved to be a crucial part of the Lakers' run last season, and wouldn't be surprising if the Lakers tried to reacquire him in a trade after his replacement on their roster, Gabe Vincent, turned out to be a flop. The thing about Schroeder is that he has another year after this one on his contract, so any team that acquires him will need to commit to him for next season too. Outside of the Lakers, the Heat, Wolves, Thunder, and Mavs could all potentially bid for his services. Tyus Jones. For teams that would prefer a rental, there are other enticing options available as well. One of those players is Tyus Jones, who currently is the starting point guard for the Washington Wizards, but he's likely to get traded if the Wizards don't want to offer him a significant pay raise going into next season. Tyus Jones proved that he was clutch back in college when he won the national title playing for Duke. But more recently, he showed that he could be an elite backup point guard last season playing for the Memphis Grizzlies. Jones dictates pace when he's on the floor and plays under control, as proven by his elite assist-to-turnover ratio, and he can shoot the three-pointer as well. What more are you looking for out of a backup point guard? Teams looking for a defensive stalwart might not be as interested, but teams like the Lakers, Mavs, Wolves, and Nuggets that could use a reliable ball handler might make offers. Bruce Brown. Another Raptors piece that's reportedly up for grabs is Bruce Brown. Last season, Brown was an instrumental piece for the championship Nuggets, which earned him a pay raise in free agency. And despite continuing his solid play as a role player, the Pacers who signed him shipped him to Toronto in a recent trade for Pascal Siakam. Now Brown finds himself on the chopping block with plenty of teams reportedly interested. Brown can do some of everything. He's not the biggest guy, but he plays a lot bigger than his size. He's not the best shooter, but he's adequate. What he does bring to the table is defense and basketball IQ on both ends of the floor. He can create his own shot, cuts hard off ball, and battles for rebounds. Brown's contract is a little hefty, which will deter some teams in need of his services, but the Lakers, Nuggets, Bucks, Knicks, Thunder, and Wolves could all be likely bidders. Chris Boucher. Sticking with the Raptors theme, another player that's likely to get dealt is Chris Boucher. Boucher's the definition of an energy piece that can provide a spark coming off the bench. He's long and lanky, but in short spurts he battles for rebounds, blocks shots, and hits threes. Boucher is unlikely to find himself in any starting lineup, but the Celtics, Bucks, Mavs, Wolves, and Nuggets could all use him in limited minutes coming off the bench. Royce O'Neal. Speaking of defenders, the Brooklyn Nets will likely be trading Royce O'Neal. O'Neal isn't tall, but he's built like a tank and can defend both the perimeter and the interior at an above-average level. The 30-year-old used to start for Utah when they were a perennial playoff team, so he has plenty of playoff experience. He consistently knocks down the three at a high level and is an underrated passer as well. Any team looking for a 3-and-D veteran that can bring stability off the bench will be in on Royce O'Neal. And honestly, what team doesn't need that? Spencer Dinwiddie. O'Neal's teammate Spencer Dinwiddie is in a similar position as well, but he's a much different style of player. Spencer Dinwiddie's a lanky guard that can play either the point or the two. At age 30, he's a proven commodity with plenty of playoff experience under his belt. While his three-point shooting has been inconsistent at times, he still profiles as an ideal candidate as a sixth man that can anchor a second unit's offense. We wouldn't be shocked to see the Mavs acquire Dinwiddie, with the Heat, Knicks, and Wolves potentially offering solid fits as well. Alec Burks. The next player that's going to draw plenty of interest from the league is Pistons shooting guard Alec Burks. Burks has made his way around the league, suiting up for 7 teams since 2018, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have game. For those that haven't seen much of him, the dude is a bucket. For most of the past decade, Burks remained one of the most reliable sharpshooters from 3 in the league, and at 6'6", he's got some length to guard the perimeter as well. Teams that need some skill and shooting are going to look Burks' way, and there are plenty of those right now, particularly Orlando, Cleveland, and you guessed it, the LA Lakers could use some help in that facet of the game. Alex Caruso. Last but not least, we have one of the most popular role players, and for good reason, Alex Caruso. Caruso served as a starter for the Lakers when they won the Bubble Championship before signing with the Chicago Bulls. Now he has 1 year remaining on his affordable deal after this season, and the Bulls might be best served trading him while his value is sky high. The reason Caruso's value is so high right now is because he's a proven champion and one of the most hounding perimeter defenders in the entire league. He's the type of guy you could put on the floor to try to contain your opponent's unstoppable point guard. On top of that, he's lights out from three-point land this season, making him a perfect fit on that side of the floor as well. He's the type of player and contract that almost every team needs right now, and for that reason, the price won't be cheap. Expect almost every team to make an offer, but the Knicks, Kings, and 76ers to be frontrunners for Caruso based on the assets that they could offer Chicago in a deal. But we want to know what you guys think. Which of these players does your team need right now? And which role players do you want that didn't make our video? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more sports news and insights.